the Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast with Luker's Jaguar. The big event is on now with exclusive discounts on approved used Jaguars. After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
The open line is here right now and until 4 o'clock. So if you're making your way out of Celtic Park, why not give us a call? Let us know what you made of the game today. We can reflect on Dingwall last night. We've got games ongoing at the moment, and in fact you missed one of these.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
It was actually a quick fire double for Hibs. Chris Cadden adding a second soon after Kevin Nisbet's opener. Livy are down to 10 men. It looks like it could be a long way back. So Hibs 2, Livingston 0. Now it's still Dundee United 1, Hearts 0. I mentioned the ludicrous injuries that Hearts have had to defenders in particular this year. Already we told you that Craig Halkett had gone off. Now Stephen Kingsley's taken a serious head knock. He's gone off as well. It is incredible how much bad luck Robbie Nielsen's had at the back.
And he's a goal down. Toby Sibic on now. But Hearts with a sellout crowd of away fans will never give in. So I wouldn't write off Hearts' chances at this stage.
Ian is on the line, first caller through tonight as a Celtic fan. What's your point tonight, Ian?
Jerry, sorry, Gordon, sorry.
Christmas, not again.
No,
come on, Ian,
no,
seriously. 6 years. 6 years.
I'm not, Gordon, I'm not feeling too good, mate. This is the best I've felt for a couple of days, mate.
Oh, sorry. I hope you're okay.
I don't know. Hopefully get by Christmas anyway.
Good.
No, who's the boys in the studios? Is it Mark, Gordon and Hugh?
Yes, I'm here. Yep.
I'm here as well.
Yep.
Alright, Merry Christmas when it comes to you as well, boys.
All the best.
Yeah. Anyway, Hugh, you need to hang up your gloves, mate, by the way. Your punditry is terrible. I'm a better pundit.
Gloves got to do with it.
I'm a better pundit than you, Hugh.
Except
Your predictions are terrible.
Except I know the name of the show's presenter.
No, but the predictions you put are ridiculous, Hugh. Unbelievable. Anyway, just keep to your wee Nokia phone. It's a cracker. But anyway,
hold on, I'm curious, Ian. Why is he hanging out his gloves? He's not a goalie.
I know he's not a goalie, he was a boxer.
I'm lost.
I was more of a chihuahua, really.
Anyway, what about the game today, Ian?
I've said to you before, boys, and grand issue. I said Celtic's going to spank somebody. I mean, a Duncan. There's a 9. It's not going to be a 9. It's going to be a 10, 11 or a 12 because of the chances we're creating is phenomenal. Mark, you'll agree with me. So will Gordon Dale. It's frightening. I don't know what the changes was today because I came in, the game was on. I think there's 4 or 5 changes they made today.
I thought it was I think it was only 3 at the start, was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll count them up. I mean, there's one thing, Mark, saying that Celtic are going to hammer someone, and they may well do. Ian mentions 12-0. That's we're talking like history making stuff.
That's a bit of a stretch.
It might well strange things happen. But
well, look, we've seen 9 this season away from home. You need an awful lot to go in your favour to get to double figures. I would say that you need, you need to take probably almost every chance you make. But look, the one thing you would say when Celtic's on form and when they've got so much attacking threat, not only on the pitch at the start of the game but on the bench, they've got the ability to tear anybody apart.
Right, we've got 2 of these, so I'll just press it once.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Michael Smith has equalised for Hearts, so it's Dundee United 1, Hearts 1. Good low finish, and Kyle McGuinness has headed home for Hibs to make it 3-0 against Livingston. You don't see that too often. Ian, what else stood out for you from the game today?
It's just Mark was talking. You're obviously all talking about the chances. You've got to take them. We're creating something like 30 plus a game. No, I'm not saying we've scraped. We've dominated the last few games, but just won by the odd goal. 1 goal cushion isn't good enough, especially the VAR. I think a 2-goal lead isn't it? Because if your opposition team scores to make it 2-1, It could be squeaky bum time with 5 minutes
But what?
a normal time to go.
Oh, you mean the time? Because I was going to say, what's VAR done against Celtic today?
No, I don't think. See the tackle with
Turnbull.
David Turnbull.
Mm-hmm.
When I watched it back and back, when he went to the monitor, I knew it was going to get reversed to a red card. But I don't think there was any intent in it. I asking the boys in the studio, what do you think? Because you're obviously watching it as well.
Yeah. What do you think?
There wasn't any intent in it. But
Doesn't have to be.
it doesn't have to be, Gordon. It was a red card. Now if you flip that the other way, if that's someone getting in Joe Hart and his boots that high and it catches Joe Hart in the face, that requires medical attention for a few minutes, the Celtic fans would be asking for a red card as well. So unfortunate situation for David Turnbull. He had his eyes fixed on the ball, but unluckily for him, he catches the goalkeeper.
Like, you'll notice this, Gordon and Hugh, in the last few years, bit by bit, football's laws have been updated and tweaked so that intent is actually taken out, really, for pretty much everything in terms of, tackles, red cards. It's more about the outcome than the intent. This is not me saying that's right. You can phone IFAB and tell them you think that's a disgrace. I'm just talking about the way the rules have evolved. If you get a straight red card like David Turnbull has, it's for serious foul play. A player is guilty of serious foul play if he uses excessive force or brutality against an opponent when challenging for the ball. A tackle that endangers the safety of an opponent must be sanctioned as serious foul play. So there's no mention of intent, as frustrating as that might be. That's the wording, and based on that, do you think it was the right or the wrong decision?
I think you can inadvertently endanger an opponent. David Turnbull meant no harm to the goalkeeper, but did end up hurting the goalkeeper, and therefore, letter of the law, it's a red card.
Don't get me wrong, Gordon, that I've always found some of the rules problematic, because you can maybe always try and make a case to say that someone endangered an opponent when maybe they didn't. But if you were going to spin that, try and come at it the other way, could you build a case to say that David Turnbull didn't endanger?
No, I think the officials got that spot on. I know they come in for a bit of criticism, but also you got an experienced referee. You had time to go over the monitor, look at it 2 or 3 times, and then make the decision, reverse the yellow card to a red. It was unfortunate for Turnbull. He's not that kind of player, we know that. But in today's rules, it certainly was the right decision. You can't argue with it.
All in agreement?
Yeah, pretty
Full
much.
house. As a player, Mark, would you still feel hard done by?
I would probably act exactly the way David Turnbull looked. I mean, the cameras panned on him right away, and he had the little wry smile on his face, like, really, I can't believe this, because he's unaware. It's almost like, a 50-50 challenge, and you go in wholeheartedly to win the ball, and sometimes you might be a bit high and catch a player, you don't mean it, sort of like that. And VAR obviously drags out the full drama of the situation, so he's standing there. I think, like Ian said, Turnbull would probably have been thinking along the same lines when the referee's going to the monitor. He's probably thinking, I cannot believe that I'm going to get sent off for this. So unavoidable, unfortunately, and he's going to miss the next game for Celtic. The plus point for Celtic is got embarrassment of riches in his position. If it was a different time in the game when Celtic needed everybody, I would have been a lot sorer to take.
He may well appeal that decision, of course. Let's bring in Alec and thank Ian. You take care, Ian. Hope you're feeling better soon. Alec is on the line. What did you take away from today, Alec?
Hi guys, happy Christmas for tomorrow when it comes.
Thank you, Alec. Same to you.
I took away, Gordon, I didn't realise that every goal gets checked. I mean, on Celtic Park today, and every goal after it. I mean, what happens if you're a winger, you beat 3 players, you smack the ball for 20 yards into the top corner of the net? It's going to be checked with VAR. I mean, I thought these VAR decisions were just for offsides. It really is slowing the game down. I mean, it was a fabulous display with Celtic today, but I think the last chap said we could have scored a few more. But Aaron Moy today was absolutely superb. Never lost a ball. Great passing, great vision. Doesn't panic. I think he's a fabulous player.
And that, Hugh, is why people don't like VAR. VAR's not new. It might be new to Scotland, but it's not new, and that's one of the main reasons not everyone likes it, because the goals do get checked, and you can get the frustration because if you think it's taken too long, and we could streamline that, fine. But also, it's part of that. It's almost like the lack of clarity, because you might look at something on a screen and say, well, that's just a simple decision. Look, he's not offside. Why is this taking so long? But you don't actually know what else they're looking at. It might be something in the build-up. It might be a phase of play. It might be trying to decide when that phase of play started. Whatever. That might be why you're taking so long. But you don't get told that, and that's why VAR can be very annoying everywhere.
And, supporters think that, and Celtic supporters in particular, I would suggest, think that when Celtic score a goal, VAR is trying to think of a way to chalk it off.
When actually today the flag went up
on, yeah.
And therefore without Celtic specifically on today must be glad that VAR was there, otherwise that goal wouldn't have stood. And what a terrific goal it was.
See, so many different dimensions have been introduced, and you have got them all at the back of your mind, and you trot them out, and it's helpful. But fans didn't think it was going to be this way. Fans thought it would be quite straightforward. That's offside, and on we go. But things are far more complex. They are taking far more time, and that's why supporters like Alec are at the game thinking, what is going on here? I don't know whether that will ever correct itself. I think that in this country we are naturally argumentative, sometimes see that black is actually white. So I don't think that it will ever be fully accepted and liked, but it's here to stay.
Especially and this is a great example of just how all round frustrating it is, because like we said, today VAR does its job, and it gives Celtic a perfectly good legitimate goal that 4 months ago wouldn't have stood. The offside flag was up, and that decision would have been wrong, and the goal would have been ruled out. Then we would have had calls saying we need VAR because this is a shambles, that goal has to stand. So now it's the time. And this is why way back 5 years ago, whenever it got introduced, I was never really sure as a fan, just as a fan of football, if VAR would be enjoyable. But
I'm not sure if it's that much a hindrance to the viewer who sits at home and watches a game on live TV, and you've plenty to fill that time where there's checks getting done all the time and there's commentary running over it. I think for the punter in the stand, it must be a nightmare, because that minute or 2 minutes seems like it's a whole lot longer than that. You don't know what they're checking for. You don't know where they're taking it back to. At least when you're at home as a viewer, you get some sort of insight. But as a supporter in the stadium, it's definitely not an enjoyable experience.
It's got its positives, obviously, as you highlighted there, Gordon. And I think for the supporters, and a vast majority of them, it's got its negatives. I was all for VAR when it came in. I thought it was really good to help the referees, officials get decisions right. We're still arguing about one or two decisions, obviously, and we will continually do that. But I'm not a great fan of the timing of it, as Mark rightly pointed out, if you're in a stadium, you're sitting there, you don't know why it's getting checked, it takes so long, people are saying, why is it taking so long? I think it hinders the supporters at the ground.
Well, there's a interesting one taking place right now at Tannadice, because Hearts have been given a penalty. It's for a handball on Arnold Djoum. Now, it's quite like, remember Uruguay-Portugal at the World Cup, where the player falls backwards and as his hand goes to support him and go down onto the ground. The rules state that should not be a penalty. That shouldn't have been given at the World Cup. Best refs in the world, full time, etc, etc. But it was given, which was slightly confusing. So the ref's now going to go and take a look, because I would expect them to overturn this and not give that penalty.
Without doubt. It'd be extremely harsh. Well, not extremely harsh, just wrong if he gives that as a penalty.
The rule, or the guidance, I should say, does make a distinction for a supporting arm. If you fall down and it's the arm that braces you, or the arm that supports you, it should not be a handball. So I think Djoum will get away with this, or he should, if the rule is interpreted to the way I understand it. But then I suppose, what do I know? Maybe he's going to think it's just more of a fall rather than a supporting hand. But the referee has gone over to take a look anyway, and the penalty's not been given. So there we are.
It works. Yeah,
right, I decision. Like VAR now. I thought the right decision. But as I said, it's got its positives. Of course it has, especially things like that, because Dundee United, who are fighting for their lives at the bottom of the league, could have easily found themselves 2-1 down.
Halliday's raging, he's remonstrating with the ref. What did he know? Get him in here Monday, I'll put him right, honestly. Close. He'll be saying though, the one in the World Cup was given for that. So that is the problem with football. You've got the top level refs who are making a backside of interpreting these rules.
Two wrongs though don't make a right, Gordon.
No, they do not. Absolutely.
Between Halliday and Nielsen, the manager, what a pair of barnets they've got.
He's been booked for remonstrating.
Halliday has.
Christmas card for him. Alec was impressed with Aaron Moy. Before we get bogged down in too much VAR, Mark, did he catch your eye?
Yeah, very tidy again today. He's certainly been a slow burner, as Aaron Moy. Well, certainly in my opinion. I just thought when he came, he wasn't up to speed. He didn't look like a player that would fit into Ange Postecoglou's side. But look, what do I know? Ange Postecoglou knew the type of player he was, knew it might take a few weeks to get him there, and he's been very impressive. Fits in nicely into that midfield, something that will keep the ball at all costs. Doesn't do anything flashy really, but just keeps things ticking along, lets the guys in front of him do the fancy stuff, and he just backs up. So another good day for him.
Style of football suits him. Team like Celtic want to play from the back, want to play through the middle, bring their full backs in. He's a very, very tidy player, very intelligent player. He takes up good positions, can see a pass. I was with Mark when I seen him at first of Celtic. I'm thinking he's got a bit of catching up to do, especially with the energy that Celtic play at. I think he's been a terrific signing for him.
Thank you to Alec. 01419511025. So just to quickly recap, Hibs are 3-0 up at the break against Livy down to 10 men early on, so that's a very impressive start for Lee Johnson's side. And Hearts have levelled against Dundee United. They thought they had a penalty, then it got overruled. Halliday's raging, he's been booked.
I'm wondering, is going to Robbie Nielsen, and he's the same, and the Hearts bench are the exact same. Surely they understand the rules though, that if that is in the other box and it's against them.
This is the point, right? I genuinely think this plays a part. On the highest possible stage, a penalty was given for that just 2 weeks ago, with VAR, with the best refs in the world, supposedly, with full-time refs, with more cameras than we've got. So I honestly won't be surprised if that's what they're thinking. Hold on, we now thought that was a penalty for that type of incident.
How can you not realise that on that incident, almost everybody said that shouldn't be a penalty? And I would probably say Andy would be the same, and Robbie Nielsen may have sat there as well and went, no way is that a penalty. So why are they so incensed at that one?
Robbie Nielsen would argue that tomorrow is Easter Sunday.
I'd actually be saying they'd be pulling their hair out, but
yes, exactly. Need tweezers.
Tweezers.
Right, anyway, 01419511025. Get your calls in. What did you make of today's football? What about last night's football as well? And now just a quick note from our podcast sponsor Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West. We are proud to announce that Lookers is now the new name for Taggarts. Taggarts has been part of the Lookers Motor Group for nearly 20 years, and over time, being part of one of the largest multi-franchise dealer groups in the UK and Ireland, has helped Taggarts to provide a great customer experience, value and choice to their customers across Scotland, and that's something that will never change. And now, they've decided though to change the name above the door to move forward as one. You'll find the same great service and friendly faces you've come to know at their Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms, working hard to give the best experience every time. You can now browse and shop online for your next car at lookers.co.uk and choose from thousands of used cars in stock with home delivery available. You can also discover the latest new car offers, book a test drive and book your next service online. Although the name has changed above the door, everything else is staying exactly the same, and you can still expect the same great service and friendly faces when you visit in store. Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West. We will speak to you next.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboards Open Line.
It is half time at Tannadice. 57 minutes were played in that first half. There were VAR checks, there were serious injuries as well, it has to be said. But finally, Dave Galloway has a half-time story for us.
Yes, Gordon, Dundee United won, Hearts won. An early blow for Hearts with Halkett helped off injured after falling to the turf as he was trying to help the ball behind. but they passed up. Hearts a decent chance to score when in a flowing move Halliday found Mackay. However, his effort was easily saved by Birigiti. At the other end, Middleton tried his luck from the edge of the box. Gordon saved that one at the second attempt. The visitors well on top possession-wise, but United took the lead somewhat against the run of play, but in spectacular style on 20 minutes. Behic, the supplier, and Fletcher netted with a sublime volley from around 20 yards. Ginnelly came close to an equaliser for the Jam Tarts with a fine run and a curling shot, which went just over the bar. He was aiming for the top right hand corner, but the Tangerines nearly got a second goal when Fletcher's header was turned behind by Gordon, and from the corner kick Hart's header landed on top of the net. Hart's injury woes continued. They got even worse when Kingsley went off following a head knock in the 39th minute. Then on came Civic, but they got level. A very thoroughly deserved equaliser on 41 minutes. Devlin with a nice through ball to Smith to confidently slot home. Hearts were awarded a late penalty for handball by Doom. That was overturned by the ref after a VAR review. There was still time though for United's Behic to see his drive deflected just past the post. The first half, like you say, had 57 minutes of play at the interval at Tannadice. It's been a good one so far. Dundee United 1, Hearts 1.
And the Christmas songs are blaring out as well. What a day of high drama we're getting, Hugh Keevins.
Well, and it's not over by a long shot at Tannadice. We get the feeling that this game will go on providing incident after incident. One thing that surprised me, Hibs 3 up against Livingston. It's just been a rank bad day for David Martindale and Marvin Bartley. Started by the red card for Jason Holt, then the collapse. 3 goals for Hibs, who have been unable to buy a result of late. So the Hibs will be the winners. It will set them up for the Celtic game on Wednesday. And with Cadden getting on the goal sheet and Nisbet, Hibs will feel much better about themselves going into that game. But Celtic today, highly impressive, but that has the makings of some match on Wednesday.
Yeah, game at Easter Road, obviously done and dusted, and Lee Johnson certainly needed that after the run of results that he's had, so he'll be pleased with his working Christmas Eve. This game at Tannadice, so I think this has got drama in it. First half that goes into the 50 odd minute penalty, given and then overturned. 2 excellent goals, you've got to say. Chances at either end as well. I think we're up for a really good 45 minutes plus in this second half at Tannadice.
Yeah, I think obviously the winners are Hibs through Easter Road. They're delighted with that half-time score, Gordon. I think Dave Martindale will be very disappointed, because we spoke very highly of how hard they are to play against, how organised, but to lose 3 goals in such a short space of time will be disappointing. But I'm with the lads. I think the all eyes will be in Tannadice. Dundee United desperate to close that gap at the bottom. Hearts, great opportunity to go into third tonight with Aberdeen losing it in Paisley. So plenty to play for.
01419511025. Get your calls in. Let us know what you made of either today's football, maybe last night's football, or something else entirely. This is the place to share it. Come on, Christmas Eve, join in the fun. 01419511025. We're going to hear from Ange Postecoglou very soon. He's been in doing his press conference without his jumper on, his trademark jumper, because he gave it to a young fan after the game. So gone are the days where you got a shirt from a player. You get Ange's jumper if you hang around in the right place.
What a gift that is. So Ange has a heart.
I'm sure he'll be happy with what he saw as well today, but we'll find out in the not too distant future. Let's bring in John, who's a Celtic fan. What's your point tonight, John?
Hi, Gordon, Mark and Hugh. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Thank you, John. Same to you. Have a good one.
My point is really just about VAR, right? Now the whole point, well, I thought VAR was there to assist the referee, right? Now, you get decisions where the referee will make a decision on the pitch that it's, say, a penalty, right? And he'll then go across to the screen. But when you're at the game, you don't get that. All you get is there's a decision being made. You don't get nothing on the screen. They don't show you the clip or anything like that, right? You can only get that if you're sitting in the house. But it's when they go across and look at the screen, again, them being there in the studio having watched the incident over and over again. I would just love it for VAR to then go to the referee and say, not a chance, was that a penalty? No, like overturn his decision. But every time they go to the screen, they go, it's a penalty. And you're in the studio and everybody discusses it. The one I'm thinking about is Matt O'Reilly's handball. Everybody knew it wasn't a penalty. And they just, every time they go to that screen, it's going to be a penalty. We all know it's going to be a penalty. It's not a penalty, if you know what I mean. This is what I'm saying. The whole point is it's going to be there to assist the referee.
So it didn't do anything to annoy you today. You just want to moan about something from a few weeks ago, and that sounds quite sarcastic. I don't mean that. I'm just trying to clarify, why it's on your mind today.
Yeah, the one that done it today for me was you read out the reasons for the red card,
right?
And you said that it was for intent and stuff like that, and then you said there was one for a tackle. And it would be seen as foul play.
Yeah,
that wasn't a tackle. His leg was just dangling there, and the keeper came out and hit his foot.
So hold on. We need to be careful, John. So you want Remy Matthews done with headbutting David Turnbull's foot?
No. You know what I'm saying, though. It wasn't a red card. I'm sorry. Yes, he hit him.
Right. So John, this is the thing.
Whatever way you want to put it.
No, but you put it the other way. The question the referee just needs to ask himself, because I don't care, it doesn't make much difference to me. The question the ref asks himself, did David Turnbull endanger the safety of the St Johnstone goalkeeper? You don't think he did?
Oh no, right, I'll give you a slight example, right, a slight difference. I remember earlier in the season, back the 9-0, right, Fletcher done it to Joe Hart. That was before VAR.
But John, but here's the thing, right, that's all very interesting, but you're now just moving the goalposts on the argument. I just asked you, it's a simple yes or no. Do you think David Turnbull endangered the safety of the St Johnstone goalkeeper? You're allowed to say no. I'm just trying to figure out how you feel.
No, I don't think he did.
Well,
I don't think there was. You could see that for anywhere there in the pitch. Would that have been a free kick anywhere else in the pitch?
Yes.
Or anything like that?
It would have, John, because David Turnbull, it was unintentional. He's going for the ball. However, when his boot is that high, and anywhere else in the pitch, if that goes into another midfielder's face as well, it's the same outcome.
As I said, David Turnbull meant no harm to the St Johnstone goalkeeper, but he inadvertently endangered him.
And that's what I said earlier. You're allowed to feel sorry for David Turnbull. You're allowed to think he's unlucky, but you can also, again, look at that rule and say, okay, let's look. Does it ask if David Turnbull meant it? Does it? It just doesn't.
But I think,
and that's frustrating for players.
John is symptomatic of supporters who cannot accept that a player on his team should be red carded, and he cannot accept that it endangered the goalkeeper in any way, shape, or form. Clearly, and I repeat the use of the word inadvertently, clearly, but inadvertently, David Turnbull endangered the St Johnstone goalkeeper.
Totally agree. I said it when I watched it at the time, Gordon, that he did endanger a goalkeeper. At the letter of the law, it means it's a red card. I think sometimes you've got to give the officials a little bit of credit, because the referee went over, took his time, looked at the monitor and made the correct decision. And it's very hard to argue with. If you're a Celtic fan, you feel sorry for David Turnbull, of course you do, as a footballer as well, but anywhere else in the pitch it's a red card as well. So
we have got the biggest nightmare in the history of Scottish football to come. It will take place at Ibrox on the 2nd of January, when VAR gets involved in a Rangers Celtic game. This will be unprecedented. The rows will be unprecedented. The fallout will be unprecedented. The followers of Rangers and Celtic cannot handle VAR and that game on the same day.
Let's bring in Stephen, who's got thoughts on it on the line. Stephen.
Hi guys, thanks very much for taking my call. Hope you have a lovely Christmas and New Year.
Thanks, Stephen. Same to you.
Listen, I'm just at the game there, returning with my son, and I'm just wondering, right, I was very limited in how much I could see from the contact of it. Now, the point that I've got is, do you remember back a couple of weeks ago when Giamakis was caught in the chest with a high boot against Dundee United?
Yes.
Now, VAR looked at that and that was deemed not even to be a foul. So how can one... What is it? What is the ruling? Was that just because it was an inch or two below? You know, I'm not saying today that I've totally believed that it wasn't a red card because I've not fully seen it. I'm just struggling to look at when one incident looks like a booking and could be deemed further, we get nothing. And then when the other one looks like it may be borderline, it's a red card. I mean, for me, there doesn't seem to be any in between.
Yeah, a couple of accuracy points though, because bearing in mind, VAR won't give out free kicks, it won't give out yellows. Do you know what I mean? So even if that is, if you're looking for that middle ground, that's just not what VAR is designed for. So that's maybe just a kind of separate point. So you're not going to get your yellow card for it if it's not enough to be a red. You don't get a yellow. VAR doesn't give out yellows anywhere, not just Scotland. It doesn't do it. It only upgrades. It can upgrade yellows to reds, but it doesn't give out yellows. And the boring bit, Stephen, is firstly it might be, I don't know, it might be because that was lower and it wasn't in the face. And the really boring, annoying bit, which I think you'll hate, different referee, different VAR, different set of eyes, different incident, you know, and you're asking them to come to some sort of conclusion. That's just what annoys football fans up and down the country, isn't it?
Can I raise a wee point just on this? And it's the same sort of idea, right? Do you remember in the Champions League when John Lindstrom made contact, the Europa League, when John Lindstrom made contact with the goalkeeper or the player's head? Now, totally accidental and was deemed to be a yellow card, probably quite rightly so. So what would be the difference in those two actions from today and maybe that game? But
no, this is the point, Stephen. No difference if you thought that was a mistake. I remember loads of people that night saying he's got away with one. So if you think that's a mistake, then you need to think that the one today is correct, don't you?
Well, listen, it's kind of hard when you sometimes don't get the decisions. Listen, I've been on before and I've raised concerns about VAR when I think some teams can use it and it can work for them, and I think some teams it can be weaponised. And that's the way I believe it, you know.
I suppose in some ways that worked for Celtic today, didn't it? Because they ruled out Hatate's goal. The linesman had his flag up, but then VAR looked at it and gave the goal.
I mean, listen, it's just I just think I think when the referee makes a decision. So this is another point I want to make. Right, see if it's VAR. It's an assistant referee. So see, is VAR saying that the referee his judging wasn't correct when he offered a yellow card on that?
On what?
Is that what it? When Turnbull was booked for a yellow card, I was saying, listen, we think it's a red and upgrade it. So it's not really an assistant then, it's kind of becoming the referee of the game, is it not?
Yeah, well, that's VAR across the world. They're asked to make the final call, but there obviously is that, once they're asked to go to the monitor, do they ever change their mind?
Yeah, exactly. Kevin Clancy,
did they ever go against that?
Kevin Clancy was invited to take a second look at a decision he had made, and he decided that he should upgrade yellow to red.
The thing about that is, right, that's like the literal definition of VAR. We're stuck with that. That was the whole concept when it was born years ago, wasn't it?
I take you back. The first VAR decision was on a Friday night, and it was for a player cheating, and that was okay. But the following day, Hearts played Celtic, and we were often running VAR wise, because the most incredible decision of all was missed when Celtic didn't get a penalty for handball. Other decisions made by VAR that day were perfectly correct, but it is a fact that the Celtic supporters feel that the introduction of VAR has been harder on them than on every other club put together. And some Celtic supporters, I don't care to give you a percentage, but some Celtic supporters believe it's deliberate.
But you're allowed to disagree, of course you are, but let's be fair, we can't just skim over the fact that if it wasn't for VAR, Hatate's goal wouldn't have stood today. Can't be selective about it.
Yeah,
of course.
But
it was in Celtic's favour. Now, what I would argue is Celtic have had, off the top of my head just now, 3 questionable ones. So the Abada goal's the most recent one, the Matt O'Reilly handball, and the handball
Burnaby
at Tynecastle. Or Burnaby, 4. Okay, so
Well, to be fair, as annoying as it is, apparently if the ball's heading towards the goal, maybe the Burnaby one's a bit
let's
more.
take that. But the Matt Riley one, so 3 in the top of my head. But every decision now is getting scrutinised so much from the Celtic fan base. Whether they think it's deliberate, like Hugh says, I fail to see how it can be a deliberate vendetta against Celtic.
Hold on, especially sending David Turnbull off in the 94th minute
exactly.
when you're 4-1 up.
What is the point in that? Of course, why would the referee go out his way to do that if he didn't genuinely think it was a red card offence?
A couple of these again. I'll just press it once.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Dundee United 2, Hearts 1. So that game's continuing to provide the drama for Dave Galloway. Interesting stuff up there. Remember, Hearts were raging at the end of the first half. They had a penalty. The ref went over to check the monitor, decided it wasn't a penalty, and it didn't stand. Dundee United have now taken the lead through Dylan Levitt. You know, he's got some great quality, quick passing move, great finish, and they do go in front. It's a very tidy finish. Craig Gordon, no chance, and Hibs are 4-0 up on Livy. There's a second for Kyle McGuinness.
We can say that game's well and truly done, but drama at Tannadice. Dundee United desperate to get that 3 points, get them closer to Ross County and Kilmarnock at the bottom of the league. So that's a big goal. Can they hold on? Because you know Hearts will throw everything at them.
Let's hear from Ange Postecoglou, get his thoughts on the game today. As you would expect, there was quite a bit to get through. He was talking about the team being more clinical and upping the performance from the Livy game, which, by the way, radical as this may sound, you're allowed to talk about the performance of the team today. They did win 4-1 after all, so let's hear what the manager made of it.
It's easy for me to sort of put it out there, but it's got to be received by them and taken on board, and I had no doubt they would, because that's, I've never sensed with this group that there's any sort of complacency creeping in, or that they're comfortable where they are. They're kind of demanding to be better all the time, and how we can help them do that. And I just felt in the midweek game we weren't as sort of disciplined and desperate to get into those areas, and today was a different story, and we got the rewards for it.
Rail being shifted to right back at a pretty good performance as well, didn't he?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I mean, I had to get creative. I mean, to be fair, if it didn't work, it would have been John Kennedy's idea. But I thought with the way it was set up, with these kind of things, you can kind of disrupt the whole team. Or the easiest thing for us was to put a player there who maybe wasn't familiar with the position. Now, Rayo's played left back earlier in his career, which I knew from Japan, but he's not a fullback, that's for sure. But I thought whatever sort of frailties we may have had defensively, he would give us, plenty going the other way and make us even more dangerous. And but credit to him, I thought even defensively he did a really good job. He kept his discipline and kept his position. And as soon as I told him yesterday, he was fine. He was all in. And I said credit to him. Apart from the goals, I thought it was a really good performance from him. The incident, I don't think there was any intent from Bull at all to sort of hurt the keeper. And I thought, you usually get an idea by the reaction of the players around it, how serious. And I thought, the referee sort of dealt with it, gave him a yellow card and away we go. But nowadays, we've obviously got other eyes on this. And again, I think the keeper was getting trapped for how long, and we wait till the keeper's up on his feet before we then go check it, and it just takes too long, and there's no need to. But I guess disappointed for Bull, because like I said, I don't think there was any intent there.
Bull,
yeah,
I like that. That's a good nickname.
Bill.
Again, Hugh, Ange Postecoglou is speaking on behalf of loads of people. You said it yourself, don't think there's intent there.
Yeah.
The people in Clydesdale House are flicking through the rule book and saying, yep, nothing mentioned here about intent. So we all look at it in a different way, and you can kind of see it from both sides, can't you?
Yeah, of course. It's one of those letter of the law decisions, and it's cost David Turnbull his place in the game against Hibs, which, to go back to the football, is getting tastier and tastier by the minute, with Hibs now 4 up. All of a sudden, out of the sky drops a performance from a Hibs team who had previously lost 7 of 8 games, and they are winding themselves up for a memorable encounter at Easter Road on Wednesday night. Could be an old-fashioned feel to that one.
Before we get to that, Gordon, he was full of praise for Rio Hatate, Two goals from right back.
He was excellent. He was excellent there, and obviously, just listening to his interview, Gordon, he gave him plenty of time to, get used to the fact that's where he was going to play. It wasn't a problem. He looked very comfortable. Got his 2 goals. Had a great effort to get a hat-trick. So it was a very, very good day for him. I thought that, take aside the sending off and the question marks about did the referee get it right or wrong, I thought Celtic's performance today was very, very good.
There was an Ange joke in there. Did you catch it?
I did. I liked it.
Yeah, if Hatate hadn't worked out, it was John Kennedy's idea. So not often you get an Ange joke, but there was one in there.
And like that is it. This is why, and phone-ins like this exist to go over the big incidents and talk about drama, Mark. But actually, Ange Postecoglou, Rio Hatate, and the Celtic players deserve more than for us to stand for 40 minutes and talk about a 93rd minute red card for David Turnbull, because we've not even really got to the performance yet.
Of course.
And that's why he's always been keen to say that, about trying to not let it overshadow things.
Yeah, and he's right, because his team this half of the year have been exceptional again. They've been, in my opinion, an upgrade from what he brought last year. And to finish it off today just before Christmas with a performance like that, especially in those first 20 minutes where you've had a difficult run, away at Aberdeen, they put 9 defenders behind the ball, and you have to work it a different way. Then against Livingston, it's a bit of a sticky performance in the second half. Callum Davidson's then coming and saying we're going to frustrate them. They have to find another way, and they did. Particularly the opening stages, they were excellent. Daz is right, could have been much more today, and I think Callum Davidson probably, when he looks back at it, would have been happy to get out there with just the 4. So they've been terrific all season, and you just don't see any signs of them slipping up, because if one player doesn't perform to the level that Postecoglou requires, he just brings in a ready-made replacement who's every bit as good, and that's a worrying sign for every other team in the league.
It even feels to an extent, Gordon, like when Kyogo burst onto the scene, he was getting all sorts of praise, which he's not really getting as much anymore, it feels like. That's him up to 13 goals in the league this season, 14 in total. I think it's 13 and 16, did I say? Something like that. I mean, by MD's estimation, that's not a bad return.
It's a great return, Gordon. And I think he'll look at the season so far and think maybe I could have a few more on that list. Of course he can. I was very impressed with his movement today in the final third. Postecoglou had a little go at his strikers, talking about, they're great balls getting in there, we need to get in the end of them. He's obviously took the words and he's turned them into positive action today, because his 2 goals were just, for a striker, perfect timing, perfect runs, the quality of the ball, and a sublime finish. So it's been a very good day for Kyogo as well, I've got to say.
Let's bring in Stephen, who's in Drumchapel. What's your point tonight, Stephen?
Hi guys, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Stephen.
I just wanted to talk about the other VAR decision that wasn't given the goal. Now, there's no pictures of the goal line, and I was just wanting to know, why did we get rid of goal line technology?
Well, we never had it, Stephen.
I thought we had the chip in the ball.
No, we've never, in our Premiership, we've never had goal line technology.
10 grand a pop, is it not, for the World Cup?
There's a few different versions here. Obviously, the World Cup one's now a new extreme, but we've never had goal line technology here, Stephen, in the Premiership.
Not according to Tommy Boyd on the Celtic TV today. He said we had it.
You can pass my number on if we have, and I've forgotten about it, then fine. But I would be, I'll up it to 100% confident we have never had goal line technology in our Premiership, Stephen.
If we've got VAR, why is there no TV lines to show it? Because it looks as if the ball's over the line on the TV, but they don't show you the line.
Well, you wouldn't draw a line in that instance, would you? You use the cameras. The reason we don't have it, by the way, it's the clubs decided no, because it's
too expensive.
It's too expensive. Yeah. It's considerably more expensive than VAR. And
that's surprising.
You would then add that on top obviously of what we've paid for VAR. First of all, do you think that ball was over the line earlier?
No. Listen, not for me. I could clearly see without any lines with one replay that wasn't over the line. I don't know if Stephen's seen something different.
We're back to supporters. Supporters see everything in favour of their club, and therefore it was no red card for David Turnbull, and it was a goal from Kyogo, but it was a red card, and it wasn't over the line from Kyogo. If you're watching club TV and you're a big supporter and you're carried away by the moment, but here we are again. Celtic win 4-1, going on anything you like, and what we're discussing here is nothing to do with Celtic's performance. What we're discussing is an insinuation, an allegation that VAR's out to get Celtic.
Did it look over the line to you?
No, I wasn't convinced, Gordon, I've got to say. The two big decisions that the Celtic fans are talking about, I think the majority of Celtic fans will realise that I think they got them correct. But I agree with you. As I was listening to the Celtic manager there talking about the positives, I thought that Celtic were excellent today. I really did, and they could have scored more goals. Some of their football at times was brilliant, and I think Postecoglou would be delighted with the performance.
Gordon, you're right though. We stood here for an hour on the phones, and very rarely have we heard anyone say, by the way, Celtic were excellent, they moved the ball well, it's been a great period for them, they've had 3 great results. Everything's about VAR and what could have been or what should have been instead of the performance.
See, for what it's worth though, that is fine, you know. But I think what surprises me just ever so slightly is, compared to what we've seen in other days and compared to what might still lie ahead, that game at Celtic Park today was not a controversial day for VAR, really.
No.
Right, you can split hairs a bit over the Turnbull one right at the end. It correctly awards Celtic a goal. It correctly awards St Johnstone a goal. Most of you don't think that Kyogo's was over the line. So actually, look, there will be times when we'll argue about VAR for 5 days, but let's save it for a time when it really needs it and when it really deserves it.
Yeah, January the 2nd, like
well,
you
very
say,
possibly.
so we're not that far away.
You will never have another day in your lives like the one that's coming on the 2nd of January. You might as well get used to it now. You will never have known anything like this in your lives, and it will go on. My estimate would be that it will go on for 3 months after the game has ended.
Jason Coogan sends me Scottish League Cup final that goal line technology makes its competition debut. Jason, if you listen carefully, you'll remember I very carefully used the word Premiership on a number of occasions, because I remember that at Hampden we had it for a couple of games. You'll remember Hearts against Celtic in the Scottish Cup final. Hearts had won, remember?
Yep.
It was just over the line and the ref ran away pointing to the watch. But I said Premiership. We've never had goal line technology because it's very expensive and you need to go and fit it at Tannadice and Smiza Stadium and
Fatati, 2 goals, hits the post, not to mention Kyogo, another 2 goals, 13 for the season, not to mention. But show them VAR and you're done for the afternoon.
Let's hear a bit from Jim Goodwin, because it's been a tough old week, hasn't it, for Aberdeen. They park the bus, if you like, and lose to Celtic. They have much more of a go and inexplicably turn 3 points into none against Rangers, and they then go to Paisley earlier on today, get a man sent off, and despite a late push, concede a third goal and lose the game 3-1. Here was his take on it.
I thought the game in the end, the last half an hour, I thought the boys were excellent. I thought the second half in a whole, I mean, obviously apart from the couple of penalties that we give away, you know, 1 or 2 bizarre decisions and poor decision making on our part, but I thought, you know, when Kel Roos saves that penalty at the third one, I thought it gave the boys a real lift, and I thought they were excellent from there on in. I thought if there was one team that was going to get the second goal or another goal in the game, I thought it was going to be us. So, you know, I've got to credit the players. It would have been very easy when we went behind to throw the towel in and to go under, but I don't think that the players can be labelled with that. I thought they were terrific right up until the end, and I think we should have had an equaliser. You know, Ramadani has hit the bar. We've had 1 or 2 other opportunities where you know, the ball fell kindly for us on the edge of the box and we weren't able to hit the target. And then, you know, we've had a brilliant chance at the back post with Maddie Kennedy delivered a brilliant free kick in, and I think Ryan Duncan and Christian Ramirez ended up getting in each other's way at the end. But, you know, if we had got that equaliser, then obviously we'd all be delighted, and it would have been a very important point. So it's a tough one to take. You know, to give away 3 penalties in any game is quite strange. And you know, to be in front and to have played as well as what we played in the first 10-15 minutes of the game, to then shoot ourselves in the foot in the manner that we did is the hardest part of that.
I suppose there's no shame in losing to Celtic. There's no shame in losing to Rangers. And if you go to St Mirren and play most of the game with 10 men, it's not the end of the world to lose there either. But when packaged together and wrapped in a nice Christmas bow and taken into account the manner of some of them, then you can see why the Aberdeen fans won't be too happy today.
And the phrase they will not use will be fine margins. Fine margins, Callum McGregor doesn't score, and it's a goalless draw with Celtic. Fine margins, Aberdeen 2-1 up, 7 minutes of time added on, survive 5 of those minutes, another 2 minutes, they've beaten Rangers. Fine margins, and today more fine margins. However, it comes to 8 days, 3 games, no points.
The problem he's got, Hugh, with the supporters is he's been well backed. I think he's spent the region about £2 million, which is decent money outside Rangers and Celtic. So they're expected to go to Paisley and win. You can forgive them not beating Celtic and Rangers because that's a hard task, but I don't think it helps. Things are going against Jim a little bit just now. He needs just that little bit of luck that all managers, all players, everyone concerned in the game sometimes are desperate for. I think Jim needs that to get down to 10 men when they're probably looking in control of the game. They get the first goal. That's a body blow. That changes games for you. It changes your tactics. It changes the way you're thinking, and they obviously get punished this afternoon. But well done to St Mirren.
I think, though, at the end of the day, when you look at where Jim's been asked to take Aberdeen, 3rd place, if it stays like this afternoon at Tannadice,
absolutely,
Jim will finish off for Christmas in 3rd place. Now, this week has been hugely disappointing, particularly today. It's been a strange old period. Jim touched on it there, 3 penalties in a game, 2 stoppage time goals, an 87th minute winner for Callum McGregor. A strange old period, but when you look at the bigger picture, he's probably sitting where they should be. And the Aberdeen fans may moan and say, well, we wanted a bit more distance between us and the rest. That's fine, that's understandable, but there's still a second half of the season to go, and for him to put that distance there.
Do you know, as things stand now, 1st Celtic 51 points, 3rd Aberdeen 25 points, 26 points of a gap, and we're not at the halfway stage yet.
You wouldn't judge them. You judge them more on where they are in the league, though, rather than how close they are to a very good Celtic team, wouldn't you? Given everything we know about finances and all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get an overall picture of our football now in the Premiership, where we have Celtic and Rangers in terms of economics and squad strength. They're a different postcode, and then a long way back come the rest, and the rest have now decided, for the most part, that even if they're playing at home against Celtic or Rangers, they'll park the bus.
Hearts were, by my reckoning, Gordon, everyone's tip to finish 3rd. Absolutely everyone's. Certainly that we had on here. And there's a long way to go. They may well finish 3rd, but unless they do something in the next half an hour, Aberdeen will finish the day and head into Christmas Day in 3rd place. So what is the aim? Because I feel like those are 2 separate things. I don't feel like Aberdeen are in a brilliant place. I don't feel like they're playing brilliantly. I don't feel like it's overwhelmingly positive reactions. But if I wasn't aware of any of that, and I picked up the league table and saw they were in 3rd place, then what do you want Aberdeen to do?
Look, you start back, as I highlighted. I think Aberdeen supporters are looking at the sort of finances that Jim spent up there, brought the players in. But it could all change so quickly. Mark's right, it could finish 3rd tonight. You turn of the year, get into January, you get a semi-final. Now it's got to be difficult, let's be honest about it. It's got to be difficult, Hampden. But if they win that and get to a final, all of a sudden you're looking at Aberdeen in a different light, thinking 3rd in the table and in a final League Cup, first major trophy. So there's still a bit of confidence there about Pittodrie, but I think it's just the way Jim's going about the business.
Easy for us to say. Let's bring in an Aberdeen fan and get the take from Robert, who's from Bayliston, but he's a Dons fan. What's going on, Robert?
I've got no idea. I don't know why we just keep getting these guys trying to cut their teeth at Pittodrie. Completely and utterly clueless in tactics. Try to manage a game. Forget it. honestly, I was at the Celtic game last week. I've got a season ticket. It's just there's like another Derek McInnes. We're at home. Attack. Give us some entertainment. And 9 men behind the ball. Seriously, what's the thinking with these modern managers? The game against Rangers, it doesn't matter if it was Rangers, Real Madrid, Stenhouse Muir, Partick Thistle. If you're 2-1 up in the 90th minute, you shouldn't lose the game. He's trying to see the game out with 25 minutes to go. You see the game out with 5, 10, 15 minutes to go. Where's the thinking? Where's the logic? What's going on there?
You're in third place though, Robert. Is that not some sort of success?
No.
What you'd rather be second?
Games we've lost. You look at the games we've lost. Should have beat Rangers. Should really realistically beat St Mirren. There's 6 points. We lost to Livingston. There's another 3 points. I don't know. I don't know why they get these managers in trying to cut their teeth at a club besides Aberdeen Football Club. It's just not acceptable. Not acceptable.
Jim Goodwin wasn't cutting his teeth, though, to be fair. I mean, he'd been the manager of St Mirren and Alloa before that.
You were going to say that, Hugh, but seriously, that's a big jump. And I know Alex Ferguson jumped to St Mirren to Aberdeen, but it's a different game.
I take your point with regard to Stephen Glass. I never thought that Stephen Glass made much sense as an
penalty. Dundee United. Sorry, Hugh, carry on. Hearts furious.
Dave Cormack, the Aberdeen owner, Robert, your sights will be trained on him, because if Stephen Glass goes, your next choice has got to be a successful one. If Jim is found not to be successful, even though he's in third place, I'm not sure that Dave Cormack has shown great judgment in terms of hiring people.
Still third place, by the way. Dundee United have got another penalty, so they may well bury this game here, which would mean Hearts lose, which means Aberdeen go into Christmas Day in third. Which, look, that isn't the be all and end all. So Robert's more than welcome to phone this show and look a bit deeper and look at performances. But the level of anger, the level of frustration that Robert's displaying.
Look, go back to Derek McInnes' time at Aberdeen. Hugely successful, and he was still getting a tough time from sections of the Aberdeen support. He then leaves. Stephen Glass comes in, makes a mess of it. Rightly so, moves on. Jim comes in. He's got him in third place, a semi-final. Now, it may not be sparkling football, but what is success in for Aberdeen fans? What is success for Robert? If it's not third place in the league, that should be your aim every year. Let's be realistic. We aren't back in the 80s where Aberdeen and Dundee United challenged Rangers or Celtic or even split them. We're never getting back to that. You know, both of them are too far ahead. So all they can do is compete at a certain level. Now, the game against Rangers, Aberdeen did compete with Rangers. They were 2-1 up in the 92nd minute. How's that not competing?
Yeah, but from there then, obviously.
From there, of course, circumstances in the game, it was an absolute shocker that they lost the game.
What I would say to you, Mark, in general terms, I don't think that it's necessarily a tremendous positive that a team who have lost 3 games on the bounce in the space of 8 days are still third in our league. I say that reflects badly on those round about them.
Maybe, but that's just one of these wider thoughts. If you're Aberdeen, you're not worried about that. You don't finish third at the end of the season and go, but you know what, that wasn't that good anyway. That's just not the way. It works.
Jim Goodwin would have been handed a brief from his chairman when he signed. This is our aims. This is what we want over the period of your contract.
You don't walk in May and Dave Cormack goes, look, I know you finished third, but actually we don't think the league was very good, so you're going to the job centre. Of course,
Jim Goodwin has to hit his remit. Finishing third would be that. Getting to a semi-final or a final, I'm sure, would be up there as well.
Robert, so are you suggesting Jim Goodwin should not be the Aberdeen manager despite sitting in third?
Not at all. Not at all. What I've seen for him is total and utter shambles with his tactics. But we're talking about the team back in the 80s and all the rest of it. But Derek McInnes had a successful run. Look at the semi-finals and finals we should have won under Derek McInnes. We didn't because of his inept tactics. And this guy's just...
To be fair though, Mark, right, without going over all ground too much, Robert, did you not come up against Brendan Rodgers' Celtic team in a few of those finals? Now you're an Aberdeen fan, I get you're going to want to talk about your tactics and so on, but you just got beaten by a better team on a number of occasions.
That's right. But semi-final against Dundee United, a semi-final against St Johnstone, who went on to win the cup.
Oh, the St Johnstone one's a sore one for sure, but we're now talking individual games over like whatever an 8-year period. Dave Galloway is honestly going to get home Hogmanay if he's lucky, because that penalty that's been awarded to Dundee United, Stephen Fletcher and Craig Gordon collide. They're both in a bit of pain, they're both getting treatment. I would be surprised if that stands.
I know. Yeah,
that's not a penalty, is it?
No, we're back to, both players have been hurt challenging for the ball, but there was no intent on
don't you forget, intent's not
Craig
important.
Gordon. Well, but I mean, Craig Gordon has come out to defend his goal.
They just collide, really, don't they?
Yeah, there's no penalty there for me.
So the ref is going to go and look at the monitor. Now there are two ways here. If you're an optimist, you say this is good because it's led to twice the referee correcting his own bad decision, and twice it's the right outcome if he goes over to the monitor and overrules it. The other way, of course, the more negative way would be this ref has given two penalties that were never penalties, and he's gone and he's had to go and correct his own decision. But
the other point is that Craig Gordon, at a time of defensive calamity for Robbie Neilson, the Hearts manager, is still motionless on the ground with a stretcher nearby. Now I know they've got the former St Johnstone goalkeeper Xander Clark there, and he'd be an able replacement, but he is the captain, Craig Gordon.
He's getting stretchered off, and Xander Clark is ready to come on. Hearts defensive injuries, that cannot, on this life or any, be a penalty to Dundee United.
No. I'm looking at it, it's a foul on Craig Gordon.
Yeah.
Craig Gordon seems to come out and block the ball. The referee goes into him.
The referee had to step away from the VAR monitor and book Robbie Neilson. To be fair, right, I get refs are fair game. You criticise. See if you're those players, the subs, Robbie Neilson, just stand back.
I know.
Just get away. Let them look at the monitor, and everyone can get on with their night.
I did say to you, Robbie Neilson would argue that tomorrow is Easter Sunday and not Christmas Day.
I mean, you've actually got Douglas Ross of all people.
He's the man you want in there.
He's acting like a bouncer around the VAR monitor, keeping the two dugouts back so that the referee can have a good look at it.
Robbie Neilson, on one
no
hand,
penalty. Surprise,
exactly.
No penalty.
Robbie Neilson, on one hand, the Heart supporters will say, yes, go on, Robbie, but he really has to be a little bit more mature. He's the manager of Heart of Midlothian, a big club in our country, and he behaves like a fan with a tracksuit.
That's a huge mistake. That is a huge mistake by the referee, and it's his good fortune that VAR is now there to bail him out.
He would have had a real bad day, but the good thing is he went over Gordon, he recognised his mistake, and he's corrected it, and that's all part of it.
That's the thing, Mark. Like, we can all get frustrated about it, Mark. I suppose you do need to acknowledge that previous life. Imagine that penalty gets given in stands, and then I don't know, Hearts miss out on third, or somebody gets relegated, or a league is won. VAR ain't perfect, in case you hadn't noticed, but at least we're not getting decisions like that still standing now.
That's an amazing one, and I feel for Craig Gordon. You know, he's still undergoing some treatment just now because it's a real sorian. The goalkeeper shows tremendous bravery. They're coming out knowing fine well Stephen Fletcher's going to go into him. If he glanced up from his state of agony to find that the referee had pointed to the spot for that, he would have been, I think he's going to be substituted just now. Craig Gordon,
stretched it off.
This
referee, this game is in, I think it's in the 75th minute.
Yep.
It should have been finished by now. It's 3:45. It's
and you know what, I wonder, right, in a human level, what's the referee thinking at this minute? He's already been over to the monitor twice, knowing that he's made a pig's ear at twice, and he's still got 15 odd minutes to get through in a game that's finely balanced.
That's what VAR's there for, to help the referees.
Yeah, but before we get to VAR though, if we discuss the general level of competence,
totally,
the referee has got it horrendously wrong.
But that's why these are separate issues, aren't? That's why these are separate, and I think the language we use is important. I've just seen a tweet from someone who's referring to this game going, VAR's a shambles. Well, actually, without VAR, we've now got a bigger shambles on our here. You know, so the language is important. Criticise the ref there, but to just keep bringing out that broad brush and say, VAR shambles.
Yeah,
VAR has saved the referee twice, majorly today.
And people talk about the standard of refereeing here, and they can be extremely derogatory. And sometimes you have to hold your hands up and say, this refereeing performance has been exposed as being very bad.
I'll tell you what, even worse though for Hearts, because Craig Gordon stretchered off, leg in a brace, oxygen, I think, some sort of
like it.
Aid for the pain there. Already got disastrous injuries. And to try and every cloud and all that, Xander Clark's a fairly good number 2. Not many clubs have got a number 2 like that, but Craig Gordon's Craig Gordon.
Is he?
That's right.
I'm surprised he's. I forgot he was at Hearts this year.
He's not much game time.
No, exactly. And he's, as you say, Gordon, he was terrific for St Johnstone. Nobody will ever forget that goal at Ibrox for them. But he's a good replacement. You want obviously Craig Gordon your number 1, and we wish him all the best, but he's a good replacement for him.
Let's go to the phones. Martin's on the line. Go on, Martin. Make 3-4 old men very happy, and talk to me about football before we get to VAR. What stood out for the performance today at Celtic?
Right, first of all, Merry Christmas. I hope Craig Gordon's alright. Still see his mum as a big part of the Celtic family, so hope he's okay. Right, I'm probably going to make a few enemies here. Not with you guys, probably I'll get Christmas cards now. But I'm a massive Celtic fan, always have been, always will be. Watch them every time they're on. VAR has been a godsend. I know a couple of referees personally, not grade 1 ones, but I know guys that referee, and they've got a hard enough job as it is. Turnbull's was a red card for a start. His foot was too high, and it's dangerous play. Whether the intent was to hurt him or not, his foot was too high. He went for the ball, but he clocked the guy in the face. So it's a red card. Kyogo's goal wasn't over the line. I'm just actually looking about me here in the car park, see if there's any Celtic fans coming for me. But and I'm annoyed, really annoyed, that we're not talking about how versatile and fantastic Rio Hatate played today, and right back, like out of nowhere. I Gaffer, I'll do it. So I just wanted to see if we can move away from the VAR thing for a wee change, because I'm sick of hearing about it.
Let's do it then. Let's do it. Tell me more about Hatate's performance. 2 goals, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, when do you see a right back scoring one goal in a game? Very, very rarely, unless it's a corner. But the guy's just, I think we've got a hell of a lot more to see come for this young man. He's absolutely fantastic. And the gaffer was saying in his post-match interview there that, he told him yesterday, he's like, yep, I'll do it. So, and that's the kind of player you want. You don't. I've been in football as well for a good wee while, and the ones that kind of moan when they don't get to play where they want to play and stuff. And it seems like the Celtic dressing room is all pulling in the same direction. Celtic's performance today was outstanding, and to win 4-1 on a day like the day, it's absolutely miserable. And the pressure was on as well. I know it was only 6 points. It was 6 points that we were, behind, but keeping that 9-point gap, it's got to be a lot of pressure, because all those guys are, in their late teens, early 20s, and, I'm an old man. I know what the pressure would be for me, so, no, for Celtic to pull it off like that, without a recognised right back in the team, and for that guy to get 2 goals into the bargain, outstanding.
Celtic's performance was great, but you also have to factor in the St Johnstone performance, which was very poor. Hatate had the freedom of the park all day long, and to his great credit, he used it well. But I think a better test of Celtic, given that it's the game immediately before Ibrox, a better test will be Hibs at Easter Road, given the way Hibs are going about their business today.
I think Martin was spot on with a lot of his points here, because we can only analyse what we've seen this afternoon, and I thought they were excellent. I thought Hatate was the star of the show. Don't know how much choice he gets in saying, I'll do it. I think Ange Postecoglou would have said, look, we're going to play you right back, and
end of story,
and that's it. But he's a player that you could probably pick most positions in that Celtic team, maybe apart from leading the line, and you would think, well, probably with the amount of shots Joe Hart faces, you probably could, but you could probably slot in 10 of those positions. Now, I like the point Martin made at the end there about it was 6 points at the start of the day, and people might not see that as pressure, but people don't see it as pressure because these guys make it look so easy. It is pressure. I've been there before. You know that you have to turn up and you have to win, or it's 6 points, and when that Hibs game comes around that Hugh's talking about, all of a sudden it's the pressure builds that wee bit more. Then you go into January the 2nd and it's a wee bit more. So to keep it at 9 points and to churn out a performance like they did this afternoon, top stuff from Celtic.
Just quickly, I'm trying to piece this together, right? I think this is what's happened, because drama's everywhere today. Livy have had a penalty, 4-0 down. David Marshall saves it. I think he then saves the rebound. I think the referee points to the spot again, and Marshall saves the next penalty, I think, right? Because it's all about chaotic.
I take it he was off his line, was he? Or something like that?
Maybe.
Honestly, I've given up trying to.
He's good at the penalties.
To analyse this. Yeah, just ask Alexander Mitrovic. Gordon, I think Ange Postecoglou wanted his players to be better in attack today, and ultimately they were.
Yeah, you've seen that by the movement of Kyogo, 2 goals. Hatate at right back was excellent. I just thought Celtic overall as a team, especially first half, they just dominated every area of the pitch. They looked comfortable. They get down the wide areas. They put good balls in. Kyogo, timing of his run was excellent. They created more chances. St Johnstone got a consolation second half. I think they'd be a wee bit disappointed with that, because I'm not taking anything away from St Johnstone, but Joe Hart will look at that tonight and think I should do a lot better. But when you analyse it overall, it was a terrific 3 points for Celtic, because they were excellent today.
Thank you, Martin. Thanks for getting in touch. Have a good Christmas. That was Martin from View Park. We our final caller of the evening. When I looked at, we had 2 o'clock kickoffs today at Dundee United and Hibs. I did the old calculations. I thought 2, 2:45, 3, 4:45-ish. Of course, VAR delays and all that, but we will we'll squeeze the full-time report in before we go at 4 o'clock. However, we are about to leave, as you can hear, and there is still 7 minutes left at Tannadice, plus all the additional time for those penalties not given, injuries, Craig Gordon stretchered off, and so on.
Never mind the score line, not yet the result. What a disastrous day for Robbie Nielsen. Looks as if he's lost his captain Craig Gordon for some considerable time with a serious injury. Lost Stephen Kingsley, and before that lost Craig Halkett, all in one afternoon.
Well, that is that from us to you. Merry Christmas, have a good day, look after each other, enjoy yourselves, and we will be back on Boxing Night from 6 p.m. Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins will be here. Grant Thompson's up for 2 hours, and then it's the GBX at 6. What a Christmas Eve party you've got in store, Mark Wilson. Hopefully you get your turkey. Thanks to Gordon and Hugh, and as always, especially at Christmas, the biggest thanks goes to you for listening. Have a good one.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lucas Volvo. The big event is on now with exclusive discounts on approved used Volvos.